From Central Ohio's news leader, this is 10 TV News at 5.
Now on 10, breaking news and two developing stories tonight. In the wake of the fentanyl death investigation, Mount Carmel is working to keep their Medicare and Medicaid funding with a plan for change.
Plus, the wind is picking up, and so are the weather alerts tonight.
But we start with breaking news in the abduction of an OSU Mansfield student.
Kentucky State Police have confirmed that the two people killed in a police-involved shooting in Kentucky were the OSU Mansfield student abducted yesterday in Mansfield, and the man police say abducted her on Monday. The abducted woman is 20-year-old Skylar Williams. The man accused of taking her is 24-year-old Tyrell Pounds.
Kentucky troopers say they received a 911 call about a woman asking for help at a gas station. They tracked down the car, leading to a chase outside of Louisville. Troopers performed a maneuver to stop the car, and that's when they say they heard a gunshot coming from the vehicle. Troopers say they began firing at Pounds, killing him. Skylar Williams was also hit with a bullet and died. We have more on this story at 10tv.com. On to the weather now. We have team coverage to get you prepared for what's coming and show you what's happening now. Marine coastside in Pike County. Kevin Landers is in Lancaster, where flooding is reported. Well, we're going to start with Doppler 10 meteorologist Mike Davis, who is not only tracking rain, he's also tracking some wind and a drop in temperatures. Mike?
That's a whole lot of stuff going on, Yolanda. And yes, it's true. We're just now under a wind advisory that'll run through 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and it covers pretty much the entire state. Wind gusts later on are going to be 40 to 45 miles an hour, steady winds of 25 to 30 miles an hour. Now, just now, when I loaded this a minute ago, we were still under a flood watch, but it was scheduled to expire as of 5 o'clock. It looks like it has. Now, still to the north, as you go into Marion and Morrow counties and Knox counties, it's still there to the south and east as well, but there's still local flood warnings like in Pickaway County, Pike County, and Scioto County, all along the Scioto River, and all across the eastern part of the state, from Coshocton to Muskingum to Guernsey to Noble counties, and all the way down into Washington County as well. And there's still some heavy rain out there, although our rain is about to come to an end. You see, right in the central part of the outer belt, you've got some moderate rain, the yellow color there, and from Lancaster going down into Hocking County, you've got some heavy rain pushing off to the south and east, and that is not going to help the flood situation there, although now it's beginning to move through fairly quickly. The worst of it is now east of Waverly, heading toward Wellston, over in Jackson County, and now east of Portsmouth, and that'll sweep out of the state tonight. And you see the blue back there in Indiana? Some light snow is going to follow it in as we get later on this evening. Almost 9/10 of an inch of rain out at the airport, more than an inch at Newark, almost an inch and a half at Lancaster, and over an inch at Chillicothe, and that Marysville station is still not reporting. So tonight, what we're looking at is gusty winds and falling temperatures. It is going to be a raw night and a raw morning out there. Any sprinkles turning to light snow, and stubborn snow and cold for tomorrow as well. We'll take a look at how much snow and when we could get back to 50 degrees again, all in the course of 1 week, all coming up in your forecast.
Thanks, Mike. We've seen flooding in central Ohio. Here's a look at Wyman Woods Park and Grandview Heights. Flooding caused the park to close.
And in southern Ohio, the water is also rising in Pike County, where several roads are already shut down because of high water.
10 TV's Marine Cosat live just outside Piketon. And Marine, how serious is that flooding there?
Jerry, we continue to get bouts of really heavy pounding rain, and that is not helping the situation. We've teamed up with the Pike County Sheriff's Office. Deputies actually took us around those road closed signs, the barricades, so that we could show you what is happening here along State Route 220. Now, we are just along the Scioto River, but it's really hard to tell where the river ends and the fields begin. Everything here is heavily flooded. And as we move forward here and take a look at State Route 220, you can see the water is already coming across the road. Deputies tell us this is low. It's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Right now, State Route 124 is also closed because of high water. We talked earlier with the Pike County EMA, who says, as it gets dark, people could be coming up on high water before they even realize it. And they want to make sure that everyone down here is working together to make sure everybody stays safe.
If the road's flooded, even if there's a barricade that's not up, turn around, and when it's safe to do so, report it to law enforcement so we can get barricades out there and get that road blocked.
The Pike County Sheriff's Office hoping, keeping its fingers crossed that the rain will subside long enough to let this water recede, because overnight we expect those temperatures to dip below freezing, and people living here in Pike County could be waking up to black ice on the road. We'll have more on that coming up ahead at 6. Reporting live in Pike County, Maureen Cosat, 10 TV News.
Thanks, Maureen. The heavy rains turned a Lancaster parking lot into a high water rescue mission.
10 TV's Kevin Landers joins us from the scene to explain what happened. Kevin?
Yeah, just take a look behind me. This is the van that is still here in the parking lot in front of the home goods store. According to Lancaster Fire, the driver actually drove into high water. The problem is they went around that little snowbank you see there, and this grassy area dropped, and the car just sank. And the water at the time of the rescue, we're told, was about 2 inches from the top of that van. Now, let me take you to the photos when this actually happened. The Lancaster Fire tells us the water just simply overcame this driver. Rescue crews say the water, as I mentioned, about 2 inches from the top of the van when they arrived. The fire department tells me this is the 3rd time since February 5th they've had to rescue a driver from high water in this parking lot. Apparently, this grassy area is very deceiving. Drivers drive over it, they sink in the water, and in this case, 2 adults were rescued from this scene. Now, ahead at 6 o'clock, we'll take you to Hebron, where a mobile home park is surrounded by water, and we'll tell you how residents there are dealing with the conditions. I can tell you right now, the wind here is picking up. Reporting live in Lancaster, Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
All right, Kevin, thank you. And whether it's rain or snow, you can see what's headed your way with our live Doppler radar and interactive radar. You can use it on 10tv.com or by downloading our free 10 TV app. You can find it in your app store. An update now on a story you first saw on your 10 TV News app. Investigators released new details about the moments a helicopter crashed, killing 3 first responders. The NTSB's preliminary report says the crew monitoring the flight saw the helicopter make a turn to the right, then a, quote, sharp left turn. That's when tracking software noticed a problem. Now, we still don't know why the survival flight chopper crashed last month in Southeast Ohio. 2 other air medical companies opted not to accept the assignment over concerns about weather.
In 10 investigations tonight, Mount Carmel's plan to fix problems inside the hospital and hold on to their Medicare funding has been accepted, but they're not out of the woods yet. 34 patients are believed to have received potentially lethal doses of pain medications. 10 Investigates' Bernard Haberly broke this latest development online today. He's with us now for what it means for the hospital.
Jerry, think of these plans of correction like homework assignments. They were due, but it doesn't mean that Mount Carmel has a passing grade yet. That will be up to the feds. What these documents do show is that Dr. William Husel was able to override the hospital's internal system to gain access to medications. These documents written by state health inspectors spell out what went wrong inside Mount Carmel and what the hospital plans to do to address it. The inspectors noted that Mount Carmel failed to ensure a system was in place to monitor and prevent large doses of central nervous system medications from being accessed from the automated medication dispensing system by overriding warnings and prior approval from the pharmacist. The records also show many of the patients received fentanyl while their ventilators were being removed. Fentanyl was not on a list of approved drugs for those situations. Attorneys have alleged that Dr. William Husel would override the hospital's internal safeguards by declaring emergent situations. And this Mount Carmel employee told 10 Investigates last week there were times when the pharmacy was unaware that high doses of drugs were being used while ventilators were being removed.
So in other words, you could order, you wouldn't have to tell the pharmacy you were doing a ventilator withdrawal?
That's exactly right.
You could just say, I need 1,000 micrograms of fentanyl.
That is exactly right.
The hospital has since changed that policy. It is also capping dosages of certain drugs and conducting daily monitoring of medication orders, along with re-educating its caregivers.
It's unnerving. It's like, I don't understand how somebody can be so callous.
The family of Sanders Young Jr. is now suing the hospital, Dr. Husel, the nurses, and pharmacists. In his case, records show the automated medication dispensing system was overridden, and the 67-year-old received 400 micrograms of fentanyl. It does not show that the pharmacy approved it. 10 Investigates found that in 24 of the 27 patients identified, Dr. Husel was able to override the hospital system to gain access to pain medications.
I think everybody, Mount Carmel period, should be held accountable
That was the family of Sanders Young speaking there to 10 Investigates. A spokesman for the state health department said that the follow-up visits were conducted at St. Anne's and Mount Carmel West this week. So what's the next step? An unannounced visit that will occur this month. Ultimately, it's up to CMS to determine if the hospital is in compliance and can retain its Medicare funding. Jerry?
Thanks, Bennett. 10 Investigates has the first joint interview with families of the patients who died at Mount Carmel West. We'll have that for you on Thursday.
Well, more than 400 Kroger bakery employees are now without a job.
Coming up, the agency working to help these workers find new jobs.
Plus, we'll meet a firefighter who not only fights fires, he's fighting for a cure to lung disease. The motivation behind his personal effort.